everyone! Today we are talking about the second part in the book, Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Oh my gosh, guys, like things went down in this book. Like I didn't think it was. Like I thought it was gonna be start wrapping up. Now, oh my gosh, this is why there's a second part. Also, this is my second time filming this video because I got all the way done and realized my microphone wasn't plugged in, so that's fun. So let's start off with where part 2 kind of began. Part 2 kind of began when they were Shadowhunters were all like having this meeting, figure out like what do we need to do because there's this huge demon attacks and we can't understand why it's happening and they're like poisonous and this isn't really normal what we're seeing. And Lucy, Thomas, and Christopher are looking down at the meat like kind of eavesdrop, and I appreciate it so much when Lucy was like, I know this ruin that will help us see and eavesdrop onto this because my father taught me that. Now going back to where James, Matthew, Anna, and Cordelia were like in that one place, Hypatia I think her name is, I don't know, I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Hypatia's back. Cordelia's like, well, I'll create distraction, and so she's doing like this dance and stuff. And anyway, that one scene, oh my gosh, like you know when you're reading a book, you know what's gonna happen and you know it's gonna be awkward and you're just reading, and the second-hand embarrassment is so bad. I don't even want to read it, but yeah, it's just words on pages. And Matthew walked in on James and Cordelia in the study. Oh, that is awkward. Like, that is why you don't do the dance that unmarried women aren't supposed to know. But then fast forward, we talked to Anna. I was get to that box thing that holds the demons in it and everything, and it says, oh, she had a ruby necklace around her neck. That's Izzy's necklace. Like that is where we get it from in this whole like lightwood chain and everything. So Magnus Bane then just shows up and he's like, what are you people doing? They're like, well,
we're gonna go try to catch this demon that's like really dangerous.
And Magnus Bane's like, sure, I'll go, I'll help. So they're fighting on this bridge and Cordelia falls off the bridge and Lucy goes after her. And what's interesting is that Lucy falls into the river too. She sees Jessie and Jessie like rescues her from the Thames. And what was interesting though is because Lucy's like, oh, you saved me, blah blah, and he's like, no, you called the dead. We already know James's power. We know James's power with the Shadow Realm. But I really liked how this book didn't just like offer up Lucy's power. Like it wasn't like she can communicate with dead people. It's more like, oh, she can see ghosts, which is a Herondale trait. But now she has like this other weird summoning power, which makes me start to think. It was said that Herondales can see ghosts. But what happens if it's Tessa's warlock powers that makes Lucy's ghost seeing ability even stronger? I never thought of that. And I like how the author's kind of like having us figure this out too. It's not just she has powers. Here you go. Let's slowly build on that. Oh my gosh, so I cried. I literally almost cried. So when Lucy falls in the river and Jessie saves her and they're talking about it later and she's like, you with that locket, like what is it? Turns out that locket is Jessie's last breath and he's like, I was gonna use it for you and you were gonna die. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It talks about these people who have like these demon poison in them, like their veins turn black. It's been a while since I read the book, but I think in Heavenly Fire, they're called Forsaken. You know what I'm talking about. It talks about their veins turning black. I'm like, is this like some kind of connection here with the Mortal Instruments, with like the whole Dark War, some type of connection that's gonna affect the people in the next book, Mortal Instruments, and this is kind of like a, here is the beginning of. I don't remember the Mortal Instruments too well. I should probably reread them. So Cassandra Clare in this book is being ruthless. Like she is being so ruthless. Like I was surprised. They're like the first book. I don't want to say they're happy, but they're more like,
oh, we went and fought demons and life was great, and then at the end things happened.
The end. That's kind of just how sometimes they are because Cassandra's trying to set you up for the bigger plot. But when Christopher got hit with that demon poison, I thought he was going to die. Okay, are we literally just gonna start just killing off the characters book 1? Like normally it's a book 3 material, but let's just start at book 1 I guess now. I thought he was dead. And of course, he gets hit with it right when he's about to unlock the cure and everything. The only person who can find the cure can no longer get the cure. Also, it's interesting, in the Dark Artifices series, we meet this character named Kit. Now, minor spoiler, I'm putting down a picture of the Dark Artifices book, and when it disappears, you can unmute the video because I'm going to spoil it just a little bit. Kit in the Dark Artifices series, his name is Kit Herondale, so we know he comes from a lost line of Herondales. But here is what's interesting. Christopher Lightwood and James are best friends. What if this name has started to carry on for a reason, and that's why Kit has the name? Jace's middle name is also Christopher. Is this like some Herondale type thing here, like we name after Christopher? I don't know. Is this where the name come from? Is this where we got that name from? Okay, so like I said, things go down in part. You don't even get a second to breathe. And that whole part where like they're in the Silent City and they sneak in there and they're talking to Christopher, and all of a sudden those Shadowhunters who were affected just start rising up and chanting James.
Yeah, like I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is like a horror movie. What is going on?
Because then you're like, well, Jem invited them down. Even when that message came, I'm like, this has to be set up. Like, why would Jem have them come there if he could just easily go to them? Jem's like, why are you here? And they're like, well, you sent the message. bridge. And then we start to realize this is all revolving around James, which it's not really surprising. As I was reading, I was like, what if these demons only want James's blood? And that's why they only attack when James is around. Like, if there was never really any attacks when James wasn't there. Like, there were some, but not many. And they were always going after James and his friends. Like, where James was around, those were these new demons were. They're going after his blood, but why? The demon on the bridge said only James could stop them. It's been 17 years. Why are they waiting till now to do something? And then we find out who his grandfather is. So a lot of this part of this video is going to be a lot of speculations. And I'm wondering, though, when James goes to that, like, shadow realm and he kind of defeats his grandfather, like, I knew the grandfather was not going to be defeated. When Jem was like,
He's on weekend for about a century.
okay, so make it somebody else's problem. First I thought maybe this was going to be a tie to the next book series Cassandra Clare's writing, the Wicked Power series, where the demon comes back. Nope, he's not really. He's kind of, but he's not really wounded, and he's going to come back in the second book. James was about to die. I said, this is book 3 material here. And Jesse, though, was there, and he gave James his last breath, which I was, oh my gosh, was sad. That was sad. But at the end, after Jesse gave his last breath, we see Ghost is fading. Something has to happen where he becomes human. Like, I think Lucy might still be able to see him because he's maybe now a ghost. He's just not a physical ghost like he was. The first book was kind of setting up how Grace and her mother want to, like, restore Jesse and all this other stuff. Somehow he gets restored. I believe he gets restored because I don't think this is just like some, oh, he's just some random ghost in the end. Like, I think he's gonna get restored somehow because the plot is setting up for it. Besides, when James was in that shadow realm, he has that rope tied to them. Like, first I'm like, how is that rope gonna actually work? But it turns out the rope is like the TARDIS. It just never stops. I think the reason why James got that letter saying from Jem and like, oh, come to the Silent Sea was, I think, because they wanted to get James down there, so then when they struck him with his poison, it'd be like, oh, you're forced, like you are cornered now if they got him down there. And that's what happened. I was kind of a little disappointed when I was like, and then Jesse gave his last breath and everything was happy again. I'm like, but this could have been such a good setup. So my prediction is that James is still gonna get possessed somehow by this demon. Like, he's still gonna get possessed, and that somehow the next books in the series are gonna be trying to find the antidote. Because I know the next book is Chain of Iron, I think it is. And I think it's gonna be more about James, because I think James is actually gonna be on the cover of that one. I think it's gonna be James is actually gonna get possessed, and how are we gonna figure this out? After, like, James kind of recovers from that shadow realm, Grace comes and visits him and talking to him, and then James says he felt something cold around his wrist, and it was a bracelet again. There's something with that bracelet. Like, that bracelet has some type of controlling properties, because even then Grace was talking to her mother and she was like, well, did you put that bracelet on him? There's something with that bracelet that somehow I think can be connected, because we know that Grace Blackthorn's mother is actually doing like all this dark magic stuff, and she's working with that one demon, which is James's grandfather, and there's something with that. She is somehow in this huge thing. What happens if they banish her to where the Iron Sisters are? Well, the Iron Sisters, that's where they make like all the the weaponry and stuff. What happens if this is all part of the plan, and so she's gonna do something with their blades that's gonna make them defenseless, so that when they're trying to defeat these demons, something happens and like they can't do it and like the blades don't work? I think that's what's gonna happen. Actually, there's a reason this is happening, and there's some like weird stuff going down right now. Something's big with that bracelet, and I think that's why it was locked away for so long, because there's something big with it. The fact though that James was able to retrieve it as a shadow, because Grace always asked her mother, like, can I have it? And her mother's always like, well, when you're older you can have it, or something like that. And then Grace tells James like, oh, you're a shadow, can you go get my bracelet for me? What happens? That was all set up. Her mother told Grace like, hey, see if he can get it for you, and then give it to him. And then by having that bracelet on, like, that's why he's able to control, because that's why what happened when Grace took the bracelet from James, he kept talking about how he just felt empty, and like, you think, oh, that's just a broken heart. There's something with this bracelet, and so I think it's gonna really play out in the next book. That whole James grabbing the bracelet as a shadow was a total setup, and I literally think that's when Grace was like, oh, you need to keep it because my mother would be furious if she knew I had. I think that was a way to start controlling him. If only we knew more about Grace's parentage. Because like she says, the bracelet was all about her mother's, but what happens if it's not? Things were about to go down. This was before that huge meeting where literally like everything hit the fan. And so when Grace was talking to James and she put that bracelet on him, what happens, because she started talking about how like, oh, this demon's gonna come and hurt me and all this other stuff, and you can't tell anyone this, and maybe like I said, that bracelet, if it can compel someone, maybe that's what happened. Like she's compelling it. She has to know that James, like, saying the information she did isn't gonna go out and try to stop it. And so what happens if there's something with that bracelet that's enchanted that would have caused him to do that? And And then when he's at that meeting, he can't really blame her for it or something, so it makes it look like she is spotlight. The Lightwood Manor has all like these demons that protect the family members, all this. What happens if there's some of that in the bracelet? And I feel like I'm not making sense here. Because when she gave the bracelet to James, she said, oh, I'm sorry. No one said sorry when handing someone a bracelet. That's like handing someone a $100 bill and be like, I'm sorry, I'm giving this to you. There's something with this bracelet. Yeah, and so when James destroys the infernal creature, and the house starts burning down, there had to be something linked to that. There had to be something linked. Well, obviously we do. We find out that it's gonna destroy Shadowhunter. So that's why I was thinking Infernal Devices Part 2. So when he destroys it, the house starts burning, and I think that was a setup. Maybe there wasn't really anything in that. Maybe it was just a shell, but it had like a self-destruct type thing. And so then it would look like James built the house, because there's something else going on. I think that was used more as a distraction of what James was doing to distract everyone from what's really happening. And right when you think the book is gonna wrap up, like you're thinking, okay, everything's wrapping up, nope, more stuff even happens. Oh my gosh, I didn't think it could go any further, and it did. Cassandra Clare kept doing it, step up. Every chapter keeps beating the next to more intense. Like, she's being ruthless, and it's not stopping. During that meeting, and all the shadow hunters are there, and like all the like main characters are there, and they start to blame on James, and James like, if he gets caught, he's gonna go to Silent City, and Cordelia stands up and defends James. I was like, what the heck is going on right now? I was not expecting it. I had predictions, I had thought. I was not expecting that to be what comes out of her mouth. And like I said, I feel like this is book 3 material, because then James and Cordelia are talking in the drawing room, and they're talking about like, okay, well, to save you, we're gonna pretend we're gonna get married. And normally, like I said, this is like book 3 end of book 2 material, but no, we're just gonna step on right here on book 1. We're just gonna go right to it. The miniature dark artifice spoiler. Picture down below on mute when you don't see it anymore. This kind of reminds me of that whole setup Mark and Emma had at the end of Lady Midnight about how they're gonna pretend they're dating. I don't know. I think James and Cordelia do end up together. I think it was actually proven that they end up together. It's gonna be interesting how this relationship goes, because right now it's just like, oh, I'm just doing this because to help you out. But either they actually get married and they end up really liking each other, or they never get married in the sense they're thinking about getting married, but they end up falling for each other and then getting married. Like I said, I think right now book 2 will be about planning the wedding, and I think book 3 will be about the wedding. That's my prediction. So I think over time they will actually fall in love with each other, and then they'll be like, oh, well, let's just get married because we actually like each other, not because this is an agreement. Thought James would be in the Silent City if it would came out that he did burn down the house, but I don't know. He was already struck as like the love struck type person, so maybe he might have gone with that, but only if he would not have listened to Grace and went to his parents and said, all this would have been avoided. To quote How I Met Your Mother, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Just don't. You go home, you stay home, you read a book, you go to bed, and then you make your life decision. After this book was done, I wanted to put the book in the freezer. It was a roller coaster, this book. It would just never stop. It was like one after the other. I was destroyed after this book. I really don't know what to think about this book. I thought it was going one way and then ended up going a completely opposite way. I can't even predict anything right now. I have no words. I'm assuming everything will work out okay. It hasn't led me wrong before. How is this going to go down is what my question is, because you know it's gonna work out in the end, but how? My only prediction right now is that what happens if this demon, James' grandfather, somehow connected with Jesse, and that's kind of what's keeping Jesse in the present. I've talked about this before at the time. There's so much information here that makes sense or it does not make sense. The whole thing with Lucy and Jesse are getting married, I want to see that extended Blackthorn timeline. There better be one at the last book of the extended Blackthorn timeline. We didn't just go read about the Blackthorns and then find out here where kind of their origins from and not know. And then how does Grace and Christopher end up together? When I saw this timeline, I didn't think anything of it. Now I'm looking like, like, does she trick him? Does she like trick him? Or is there like some redeeming thing that happens to her? She realizes whatever spell she's under was broken, and I want to know, like, is that gonna be how it happens? Also, there's a lot of stuff here that makes sense and has no idea how this is gonna play out. It's gonna be a wild ride. Also, I'm very interested to know how come the Shadowhunters kind of accepted Grace and her mother. These people have hated Shadowhunters for years, and then suddenly they're like,
here we are, we want to be part of the society again.
and like everybody's just like, okay. Wouldn't you wonder, like, what's the motivation here? The whole thing with Jesse's body being in the shed with no roof. You live in England, like, it rains a lot. Why no roof? Thank you for watching. Please put a comment down below what you thought of this book. Like, were you surprised? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think is gonna happen? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more bookish conversations. Bye!